Kathy Hochul's proposals to roll back some bail reforms isn't only being opposed by Albany lawmakers. Criminal justice advocacy groups are putting their opposition in writing and delivering it to the governor today.
Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin making the rounds in Albany, trying to convince lawmakers that Governor Hochul's 10-point plan is a comprehensive way to address the rise in crime and gun violence.
Let's start with the point that we believe bail reform is a good thing. I was a part of bail reform 1 and 2. We believe it's a good thing. We also believe, given what we're seeing, that there are some amendments that should be a part of that. But remember, this is a public safety plan that is broader than bail reform. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about issues of pretrial services. So many other items are in this as well that we think are very important, issues of gun trafficking.
Us this morning to share their concerns about the changes Governor Hochul is trying to make to bail reform are Insha Rahman, the Vice President of Advocacy and Partnerships at the Vera Institute of Justice, and Andre Ward. He's the Vice President of Public Policy over at the Fortune Society, two nonprofits which work with the incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, and their families. So good morning to both of you, and thank you for being here on such an important topic.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and so we're talking to both of you ahead of this letter that you're delivering today. And, you know, the most we've heard about the bail reform is right there from Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin, since Governor Hochul says she's not negotiating this plan in the press and in the public, right? Benjamin says the amendments, like you heard him say, address mental health, housing, education, and even includes more investments for communities of color. So I guess why is there so much opposition to the change, and is there middle ground? Insha, we'll begin with you.
Sure. So thanks so much for having us on this important topic, because the first thing I want to say is that all of us want our communities to be safe. And I know we don't feel safe right now. New York City and New York State is experiencing a rise in gun violence and other kinds of violence that truly undermine public safety. And so Andre and I both work at organizations where we develop solutions for safety. We know public safety. And if Governor Hochul's 10-point plan actually delivered on public safety, we would be all in favor of it. But what it actually does is it rolls back public safety by requiring incarceration and more incarceration on many low-level offenses for which services and supports would be a far better investment in public safety. And so that's why there's this concern and outcry that you're seeing from us and others across New York State. We want public safety. This won't deliver it.
Andre, did you want to add something?
Yeah, in addition to what Insha is saying, right, again, the amendments we're talking about are, again, direct rollbacks, right, to evidence-based reforms, right, that were put in place to address this crisis of mass over-incarceration. So we're deeply concerned about that, and we would love to see the rollout of the bail reform law as it currently is.
Yeah, well, obviously, as you've been saying, public safety, a huge issue given the increase in crime and gun violence over the last 2 years here in the city. I mean, just this weekend, 29 people were shot across New York City. So part of this 10-point plan will allow defendants under 18 years old to be tried as adults for crimes involving a gun. So it's also a plan that Mayor Eric Adams supports. But so do you think it is or is not a good deterrent to prevent gun violence? And if not, what's the alternative?
I can start, and Andre, please jump in as well. We all think 29 shootings is 29 shootings too many. And the causes of gun violence are complex. And right now we are seeing more gun violence than we've seen in this city for decades. And the reason is that we are coming off a pandemic where all of the supports that keep our communities safe, that keep young people safe, like good schools and after-school programs and other services, are just, you know, they've been upended by the pandemic. And so the best investment right now to keep kids off the streets and guns off the streets is actually to double down on more services, counseling for those kids to figure out, why are you carrying a gun in the first place, and how can we get you to stop? Incarcerating them, which is what this plan would do, doesn't actually solve that problem.
Andre?
Yeah, agreed with Insha, and it's really important that we develop interventions to engage our younger people so as to empower them. With the removal of the summer youth employment programs during the pandemic, we saw that there was an uptick in crime in some ways, and so making sure that the right interventions are in place is critically important. And the governor's proposed idea to kind of roll back the Raise the Age law is something that we're really concerned about because, when we're thinking about our younger people, we know that prosecuting children as adults does not keep us safer. And when we did that, and certainly look back at in the 90s and 2000s, we had much higher rates of crime and gun crime in particular. So rolling back something like Raise the Age is also something we're really concerned about.
So, there's this prevailing notion that we've often talked about that the increase in crime and gun violence is directly linked to bail reform policies. Research, though, is showing that those numbers are just not there, and that's not the case, right? So you're submitting this letter today, and that is the news, right? Because you haven't submitted it just yet. What's in the letter? What are you hoping to get from it? And any plans to talk to the governor? And Insha, we'll begin with you here.
Sure. We hope to continue conversations with the governor as well as the legislature because this is an issue of good public policy and it needs to be addressed out in the open, not in the 11th hour of budget negotiations. And so what's in the letter is a call to double down on investments. There aren't nearly enough right now to actually keep us safe. And so that's the first call. And the second is to have these negotiations because these are important questions of public policy and crime and public safety, to have them out in the open, not behind closed doors, which is where this process is going now.
Andre, did you want to add something quickly as we finish up here today?
Yeah, to Insha's point, though, we really need to redirect our funding to support people in a way that addresses their needs, right? When we're talking about community violence intervention programs, we're talking about alternatives to incarceration. In fact, we talk about, we think about people being jailed. It takes almost $500,000 to incarcerate someone on Rikers Island, yet $15,000 to invest in an alternative to incarceration program. So making sure we have the right supports and services in place with education and employment, substance use services, et cetera, is really important.
Well, obviously, this is a hot-button topic. After you submit the letter, if you do hear back, keep us posted on what exactly those conversations look like, because we are all over the story and want to continue those conversations. Insha Rahman from the Vera Institute, Andre Ward from the Fortune Society, thank you both for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.